Nerds. I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Peyton.
And today we are doing something very special.
Because we have a special guest.
So join us with a cup of coffee as we dive between these paper sheets.
Woo!
Let's do it. Alright, welcome to the conversation couch. We are going to get in between these paper sheets. And so this is my best friend Nevaeh, and she is here today because she's a fellow book lover. And she's going to join us for this little bit of a game we're going to have today.
Very exciting.
Yes, so the object of the game is a book bracket. As you can see, our lovely designed homemade, don't look too closely, I swear I spent too much time on this and it's still book bracket. And we're gonna just go through and pick what is the best trope.
Yes.
Alright, so we are going to start at the top. We have Grumpy Sunshine versus Anti-Hero, which is just morally gray reskinned so I could quote Taylor Swift.
Yes. Swifties here.
I just really, like, if I could bring Taylor Swift into every podcast episode, I would.
We would. We just would.
So.
We find a way.
Alright.
Yeah, next here we have enemies to lovers versus the one bed trope. So look forward to that. And then over there we have
Friends to lovers and the pregnancy trope, which I know everyone's so excited for. And found family versus the love triangle.
Yeah, so let's start up here. We are going to jump right into this, and we are going to debate.
Yes.
Grumpy
So,
Sunshine versus You're the Problem, It's You. Just kidding. It's probably me.
Alright, Nevaeh.
I don't...
So, yeah, what are your feelings?
See, morally gray is so popular.
Yes.
Very popular,
Mhm.
especially, like, in the genre and the type of books that I like reading.
Yeah.
However, Grumpy Sunshine is so wholesome. And I feel
So
like if
cute.
I was, like, put into a Grumpy Sunshine, I would totally be the sunshine, and I would want, like, a tall, like, brooding partner that was just, like,
So grumpy.
Yes.
so, like, I can see myself in Grumpy Sunshine.
Mhm.
It's just not, I don't know.
Grumpy Sunshine, and it's not a book, but like Nick and Jess from New Girl are like the epitome of Grumpy Sunshine, and I love it so much. So I think a good example of the anti-hero morally gray is Kaz Brecker from Six of Crows and Jude from Crow Prince.
Yes. Jude is...
I would marry Jude in a heartbeat. Like if I
She's
could,
so cool.
I would leave my husband for her. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. No, and it's so like all encompassing. Like sometimes like you were saying like morally gray just means that they have like a couple of bad things that happened in their past, but like the way that they act with like the main character, like the other like, interest or other main characters completely contradicts that. But Jude is written through and through. Like everything that she does is such a calculated decision that's like it blurs the lines of like what is good and what is bad, but like because it's good for the king, like it's good for her goals, but not necessarily the ethical thing to do at all.
Right, and when you're looking at it, you know that. Where it's not like I feel like sometimes you're like, oh, they're doing the bad thing, but we all want them to do this bad thing. But sometimes, like with Jude, you're like, I don't know, man. I might not have done it that way.
I do think like the morally gray character really adds to the plot line. Whereas maybe Grumpy Sunshine is just like an element of like the character.
Yeah.
A Man Called Uva. I just read that book. It was so good. The movie just came out. A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks. I haven't seen it yet because I'm like gonna cry. I'm like not mentally ready for that. But so I read that book and he's just like this is just known. He's just grumpy. He's just a grumpy man. This is like the perfect way. Like if I was explaining to a kid what the trope Grumpy Sunshine was, I would be like, Uva. Like, Uva is grumpy because his neighbor is like, let's go out. Like,
Yeah.
even the cat that like he ends up adopting, which we already know from the beginning that the cat is just there. He's just like, oh, it's there. It's like, hey, Uva. And Uva's like, no, go. I want to be alone. I want to So for me, I think in the long run, like the anti-hero, morally gray trope, just the books we like to read, like,
Yeah.
I feel like that would go further, but
Yeah.
I love Grumpy Sunshine.
All right, it's time to vote though.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna start with Nevaeh.
I'm gonna say anti-hero just because you can, like, there's so much you can do with that. And
Yeah.
so many
Mhm.
genres, so many ways to spin it and make it, like, anti-hero, that's my vote.
Yes. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I definitely would probably pick anti-hero just because when I read books, my favorite books, when I think back at them, they all have morally great characters,
Mhm.
so
I think Grumpy Sunshine, when done bad, is still good. And I think Anti-Hero, when done so well, becomes so much better than the best done Grumpy Sunshine.
Agreed.
So I'm pushing Taylor Swift through this board, and I'm
Yes.
doing Anti-Hero.
That's awesome.
Look, an Anti-Hero is going to fit much better on
Yes.
these
Yeah.
lines than Grumpy Sunshine. Like,
It's a
this is a
sign.
practical decision.
Yeah. No, it's a
Okay.
sign. It's a sign.
that's anti-hero.
Beautiful. All right, let's move across the board and let's talk about friends to lovers versus pregnancy trope. Now I know you already know the answer. We all know the answer.
But we're gonna talk about it
We're
anyway.
gonna talk about
Time
it
to
Because
crack.
we're adults. We can talk about things we don't like.
Pregnancy
Fine.
tropes are so big that it needed to be included, even though we were discussing earlier. Pregnancy tropes aren't as prevalent in a lot of the books that we read.
Yes.
It was hard. We, just coming up with some examples. We're like, I can think of like a couple, but like not really.
Yeah. Not in the way that I think is a full trope. Like the books that I've read with pregnancies in them, it's just
Yeah.
an element of the story
Mm-hmm.
rather than
It's not like a surprise twist.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the twist. It's
Yeah.
not the most important part of the
Mhm.
story. Like I think when we think of pregnancy tropes, that's what we think of.
But you were saying you get advertised a lot, like the smuttier books. You will
Yeah.
see the pregnancy trope. Like that's a whole like section of that genre.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just
Mhm.
the pregnancy trope, which I think we just haven't necessarily dabbled in.
For sure.
I think the pregnancy trope could be done well. I could read it and I could be like, oh no, I like this. I think it could add to a story, but like I wouldn't want it in all of the stories. Like I think I could enjoy it like once and then move on with my life. So, and then obviously friends to lovers, I love. It does slow burn so well with friends to lovers because since they're friends, like they can be touching each other. They can like have all these things where like enemies to lovers. Like if they're touching, I'm like, hold on. This is getting to like the back end of an enemies to lovers. Whereas friends to
Yes.
lovers, like it can be there the whole time, and it's just like about
just
like
pops up.
your emotions. With
Friends
it.
to lovers is just such a sweet trope
I
because you're right. Like you already have a good connection, and then something like
Mhm.
I think friends to lovers you see a lot in like movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where like
Mhm.
they're friends and like all of a sudden like one night like they kiss and then they're like, oh, we shouldn't have done that. and then all of a sudden, and then it's
Isn't
like
that there's a like it's called like One Night Standers. It's like a movie with like Mila Kunis and someone else, and that's it's very prevalent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought of that.
You're just like,
No,
yes,
it's-
actually, but you see them in a lot of like rom-coms. Like,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah.
we've known each other for so long, like we grew up together, like ew, you're like my brother, and then it's
Yeah.
like one night.
Yeah.
And you're like my brother, and then you're like my daddy.
Yeah, and now you're my daddy. But yeah, so we see it in movies a lot, but in books,
Yeah.
when you find it, you're like,
When you find it when it's done right.
see that
Yeah.
coming? Like, oh, that's so sweet. But then you get all of the like the sentimental feelings versus
Mhm.
with enemies to lovers. You're like, I hate you. You're like, and then it's just like so passionate all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good trope. I think we
It
know
is.
which one's gonna win.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
just
Yeah.
We don't
No.
need to vote. Let's
It's
just
going-
put it up.
we
on the
know.
board.
It's
We know.
going on the board.
All right, moving on. We have anti-hero, friends to lovers, and we're going down here. So we have found family and love triangle. Once again, very hard for me because I love these tropes.
Yes.
See, these are so good. I feel like found family often like kind of like tilts the line of like, is it a found family or are they just co-workers? And you can tell the difference when at the end of the book, if they separate at the end of the book, it's not a found family.
Yeah.
If they're like, okay, peace, we've done our little quest,
Oh,
and now we're separating.
I can think of a couple books like that, especially Sarah J. Maas's like Crescent City series. I can think of some instances where I'm like, were you really a found family or were you not a found family? Without going into specifics, of course, because this is a spoiler-free episode. But so found family, love that. Fills my like Grumpy Sunshine. It just fills my heart with so much like love, especially when you have those characters that have like come from nothing and have nothing, and then they find that family. Or even better, when they have family and they treat each other like crap, and then they find someone who treats them better. It's like having a boyfriend that's
then the family is part of the enemy, and they're like, you're not my family, they are.
That is the best part. Yes, great trope. And then so love triangle.
It has to be done right.
It has to be
done right because like I feel like sometimes in books they throw in the like third person in the triangle just because they're present in the story.
The Jacob theory.
So
Jacob from Twilight did not exist when she first wrote the books. She wrote basically like the first book and the last book were like had the ideas for that, and then the publishers were like, hey, we want 4 books, and she was like, okay, cool. What else would be happening? And she was like, maybe there could just be like this other character, Jacob. I'm gonna name him after my brother. And then Bella is a self-insert character, and then it's like this fake love triangle. But Jacob is based off of her brother, and
so there was never supposed to be Team Edward and Team Jacob.
Yeah.
He existed fully just to like
fill time.
Yeah.
I mean, great marketing strategy. Let's be real.
And you know, and then people still have like the big T-shirts. Like Team Jacob's
I still have that.
Yeah.
And she's probably like, what did I do? I named it after my brother. Oh, that was a mistake. So love triangle. I can think of an author, Cassandra Clare, is the queen of the love triangle.
That she does that well.
Yes.
She does that well.
And it's different every time. Like every one of her series, if there's a love triangle, it's done like a little bit different and like adds a little.
You can rank them too. Like I can think of like of the 2 like installments I've read, I'm like, no, that wasn't good, but that was good. So, and I'm sure you've read even more. So you're like, I have like on my list.
There's so many.
Yeah, there's one that I'm thinking of, Iron Widow.
Okay.
I forget the author's name. It's a great book, and the main thing is like there's a love triangle going on, but they actually like throughout the entire book, she lays out like almost like breadcrumbs for like the intense chemistry between like the members of the triangle, like on the central, like obviously there's like a central person that's like, oh, which do I choose, but she actually has like chemistry moments for each of them separately.
Yeah, so it like completes.
So it actually like makes sense.
Why
it's a love triangle, and then how they resolve it after the fact.
I will say, like, even in some of Cassandra Clare stuff, I'm like, I can obviously see who she's gonna pick.
Yes.
But when like that, when the whole purpose of the book is a love triangle, that's insane.
Well, and that's what I feel like the times that the love triangle is overdone and used the most is when it's really just like a V. And it's like sometimes because usually it's a girl and 2 boys. Sometimes the 2 boys don't even like each other. Like, they have no link within each other, and then it's just like, okay, like, this is just about this girl choosing between these 2 guys. Like, Hunger Games, which she did that for a purpose. I am not knocking it. I understand why she did it. But Peeta and Gale have nothing to do with each other. Like, that is not a triangle. Now, that's not what she was not. Suzanne Collins was not going for a love triangle. But in other books, they will do that. And it's just like, hey, what the heck? Whereas if we can have, like, if it's a complete triangle, that's the best.
And, like, we really don't know who we want. Like, and then we are morally, like, what are we gonna do? Like, that's nice. So I have my pick. I know which one I want. So let's start. We'll have you tie it.
Can I go last?
Yeah. All right, Aubrey.
I'm doing love triangle.
I'm doing found family.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh.
What were you gonna do?
I don't even know.
I don't even
know, like, because found family is such, like, a prevalent thing in a lot of queer books, specifically, and that's so close to my heart that I'm like, that's such an important part, but, like, I will get giddy over love triangles.
And when they're done right, it's perfect.
When they're done right. I think I think I'm gonna go with love triangle because when you
Yes!
do it, when you do it right, it
Hell
has
yeah.
such a good like impact. Whereas found family is like, this is so sweet. We're all in this together.
Now
like,
I know who's the sweet one of the group. I love Grumpy Sunshine. I love Found Family.
I want to see them fight. I want to see blood.
Honestly, it's so much more interesting.
It's like either
and-
you two are together or you're having a threesome. Like, I don't care what happens next.
I
Love
don't
it.
care what happens next.
Yeah.
All right, let's rate it up. Love Triangle wins.
All right, our last one of the outer brackets, what might be the most difficult one,
Mhm.
enemies to lovers versus the one bed trope.
Neva
I
feels
know.
very strongly.
She is
about
very
it.
strong
I'm so
feelings about
excited.
So
it.
tell us your initial thoughts.
Okay.
What are you having trouble
Yes.
with here? No
Okay.
spoilers,
Take
of
us
course.
through
No,
it.
of course,
Take us
of
through it.
course. So, enemies to lovers is very prevalent in fantasy.
Yes.
Which is what I personally enjoy
Yes.
reading the most.
Yep.
However, I feel like the one bed trope can also be found like nested within enemies to lovers.
Yeah, no,
a
that was
lot.
that was gonna be my point. Mhm.
Yeah, so it can, but like also just not enemies to lovers, sorry, but like the one bed trope can be used in so many genres all
Yes.
over. Like it can be
Mhm.
like just a simple like romance book where it's like, oh, this guy that I
Yeah.
like, you know.
It's in
just-
Bridgerton.
It's yeah, exactly. So like you can see so much more of it, whereas like enemies to, it's just they're both so good. I love both of them.
This is very hard.
I think that I like one bed trope the most when it's not just enemies to lovers. I think like especially friends to lovers, when they do one bed tropes and they're just like, oh, like we always used to sleep in the same bed together when we were little,
And then you're
and
just like,
now,
oh god.
and now it's like, oh my god,
I
just-
can't
I
move.
just-
I can't move.
and then, you know, and like it adds
The tension.
so much.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's so fair.
enemies to lovers, like once again, we all love fantasy here, so when we
Mhm.
hear enemies to lovers, we're like, that's such a good story. It's
Yeah.
such a good book. All of my favorite stories are enemies to lovers. So
Yeah.
this is very hard, but my most famous, favorite too book is a one bed trope. So
Mhm.
this is hard because this is like a trope within a trope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I do-
I mean, I do feel like I have an answer for myself. This is highly debatable, but I think your point of that the trope can live in a
Mhm.
multitude of genres
Right.
is also very exciting. But yes.
Yes.
I do want to talk enemies to lovers, the passion that it gets. Like if friends to lovers is like the ultimate like slow burn like butterfly feelings.
Yeah.
Enemies to lovers
Gut
is
punch.
like oh my goodness.
Let's go. Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. What? He just kissed like a knife
Yeah.
to the throat and then making out.
Yes.
Like that's what I want to see. And like
Yes.
that passion
Passion.
is so
Yes.
like
It's on another level.
yeah.
And I think
Ugh.
like friends to lovers can be I don't know if vanilla is the word, but it's like pretty slow pace. Like
Mhm.
you know, like we kind of see this. Like you guys are already have a good connection, but
Yeah.
now we're like gonna heighten the connection with this.
Yeah.
It's like I hate you, I do
It's
too, and
Do you
then
want to make out?
it's like yeah, exactly. And but
Take
the-
off your clothes right now.
Take off your clothes right now.
but like the pacing is just like bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam, 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 and
Mhm.
we love a nice pace, like a well-paced book. So I don't know.
Oh, I kind of like the way that enemies to lovers is more of like an intellectual, like battlefield almost.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because like with the one bed trope, it's just like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. We're sharing the same bed, or it's like with enemies to if it's like with enemies to lovers, just like I have to share the same bed. But like with enemies to lovers, it's like the characters actually have to like, okay, why am I attracted to this person?
Yeah.
Why is it like what are the redeeming qualities of this person? Because I'm supposed to hate them. I'm supposed to
Mhm.
not do this. Blah blah blah. And it's just more of like looking into the internal
Yeah.
dialogue
Yeah. It's,
component of
they have
it.
to like wrestle with it.
Yes. Whereas one bed is just like,
We're stuck with this.
oh god, we're just stuck with this for
Yeah.
one night, and oh my
Mhm.
gosh, like
Well,
what'll happen?
And like this is a chapter. This is a
An
book.
entire yes.
And I think that that's a little unfair because we just did a widespread because we wanted to talk about things we like.
yeah.
I mean, let's be
But-
honest. I mean, like, look at the pregnancy trope and friends to lovers,
Yeah.
right? Like, pregnancy trope, it could be seen in any
Mm-hmm.
of this.
Yeah.
So I think it's clear where we're going here. I can start the official vote.
Okay.
I'm gonna choose enemies to lovers.
I'm going to second that decision.
Yep, all the way.
Cheers to that,
Right on the
ladies.
board.
Cheers to that. All right, we are in the semifinals of our book trope bracket 2023. All right, so right here on this right side here, we have friends to lovers and love triangle, which Aubrey just expressed off screen that this is going to be a very hard one for her. So we shall start with you. Why is it so hard?
Because I love them both. Okay, friends to lovers, when it is done, like, the best. I feel like it is just so good. And I feel like friends to lovers can span within, like, a trilogy. Whereas, like, other things, I'm like, okay, this is good for, like, one book. And I'm like, this can, like, it's just, like, the slowest burn. Especially when, like, at one point they, like, kiss. And then they're like, oh, no, we can never do that again.
Yeah.
And then they separate. Or, like, one person's into them the first, and then they stop being into, and then the other one's into. Switches back and forth. I just love the dynamics of it. But a good love triangle that turns into a throuple.
Yeah. No, that's...
It's hard to deny. And it's just, I think this one is seen a lot more. Not necessarily better.
Yeah.
But, like, in the medium range of, like, done okay, done well, just not 5-star amazing. I think love triangle is done better in the medium. Whereas friends to lovers can sometimes be, like, boring if it's in the medium. And I think it takes the 5-star that I'm like, this is a friends to lovers book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Friends to lovers, it's hard for me to love a friends to lovers book. I have a hard time. I'm just so judgmental. I'm like, no, I would have never done that, or no, like no. I think because I'm just so used to my fantasy, like enemies lovers, fight, hate each other. So yeah, friends to lovers can be hard for me, but like Aubrey said, when it's done right, it could be my favorite book. It could be like all 5 stars. Love triangle. Also, you could have fun with that, where like there's a bad guy and a good guy, and the girl just doesn't know, or the main or whatever it is. He or she just doesn't know like who the good person is, and you need to like kind of decide. Like that could be fun, or they're both really good guys. I've read ones like that. Like, they're both great. You'd be so happy with either one of them. So it's hard.
I feel like I'm the outlier on this equation.
Yeah.
I can relate so much to, like, okay, so friends to lovers is really prevalent in, again, like, queer stories. A lot. And I can relate so much to them. So much, and I just, like...
They happen more in real life. I mean, how often do you have an enemy in real life?
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's not...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's much more relatable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, like, the love triangle... I don't know how I feel about, like, it's good for content. Having having someone be like, oh, I don't know which one to choose. And
But like, when does this really happen?
But when does it really happen?
Yeah.
A, and then 2, like, I don't like sometimes like just being like, okay, this person, this is their pro and con list, and then this is the other person's pro and con list, and I'm gonna decide based on that.
This is not a Ross situation. We are not.
Yeah.
Waitress.
Yeah, and
I'm a
so
Ross hater.
that's fair. But yeah, and like just I think especially in like Heartstopper. Oh my god, I love Heartstopper so much, and that is just like quintessential friends to lovers. But like also you're just most of the time it's also with like discovering like your own sexuality and how you feel, and like repressing that, and like I relate to it so much more, and so I think I really like friends to lovers. Because it's just so, it's so sweet. I don't know. I think it just hits more home for me, so I think that's
a perfect book, which is definitely not a spoiler because it's common knowledge. If you should know this, but like A Song of Achilles, like that is the perfect example of a friend to love. It is gay.
Point being,
it's super gay. Which like I just love that book for that, and I think with friends and lovers you can get really prosy too because of that like lifelong connection you have. Once again, when it's done right, it can be a 5-star book, and for that I really love friends to lovers. Aubrey's like throuple.
I mean that's gay too.
Yeah. It has to be. There's no way you can do what the.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm going to. I love triangles. I love Cassandra Clare's love triangles
Yes.
the most, and I
Yes.
feel like outside of that, they kind of like it's a hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to choose Friends to Lovers. I mean, either way, I was outvoted, but I am choosing Friends to Lovers for Percy and Annabeth
She dies in Thoroughly Dying.
because that is my everything. That is the best couple to ever exist. And they are Friends to Lovers, and that is when it is done so amazing that you react like that.
Even so, I have not read that series in years, and yet I still was like, oh my god, I forgot. Yes. Yeah. So based on that, you know where I stand. Friends to Lovers.
Friends to Lovers.
Superiority.
Friends to Lovers.
Take it for what it is. We are Friends
Yeah.
to Lovers here. They're going to the finals.
All right, moving across the board, we have anti-heroes, aka Morley Gray, against enemies to lovers.
So difficult.
See, when you put Taylor Swift related to it,
Yeah,
we're
you
gonna
know?
have some
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know how to. Am I starting this one? I
Yeah.
guess
go
I am.
ahead,
Okay.
go ahead, big girl.
So, okay, enemies to lovers. Again, it's in most of the books that I like reading.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, just because it's mostly in fantasy. But I feel like morally gray, kind of like the one bed trope, like I feel like a character being morally gray
yeah.
contributes to the enemy part of the enemies to lovers. Like, if it's not fantasy, if it's like an office romance or like something more seated in like the real world,
Yeah.
then having like a morally gray character, like our instinct is to be like, oh, I don't like you because you make these kind of decisions, or you like front with this type of personality in certain settings, and so I don't like you for that. And then it contributes to enemies to lovers, but like true like enemies to lovers in fantasy cannot, like, I don't care if they're morally gray. Like, it's
They're usually both morally gray.
they're usually
Well,
both really morally
And they're
gray,
usually on like opposite ends of like sides and stuff like this. Like this is your like Matthias and Nina from Six of Crows. Like these are on opposite sides of the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, you could argue that sure it's enemies to lovers, but is it because they are morally gray? Does that make it even better? So that's where you could vouch saying like the anti-hero, the morally gray character trope is even better than enemies to lovers because of that.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, like Cruel Prince has enemies to lovers to it, and it obviously has anti-hero when we were talking about Jude. And I think I like more how morally gray Jude is than any bit of the enemies to lovers romance. Like, they're entwined, but like the fact that she's morally gray is what's making it for me, and not the fact that they're enemies.
Yeah, because I sometimes feel like books try to be enemies to lovers by doing like, you wronged me in middle school.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reasoning for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's something so obscure that it's like, why is this relevant? Like, you're in your 30s. Why are you still thinking about something that happened like 10 years ago? That's just like not a specific book. That's just something off the top of my head.
Right.
But so sometimes I feel like enemies to lovers can be done very wrong because there is no basis for it, and when it's morally gray, it's almost like it has to then be enemies to lovers because
So you could say that more like to make a good enemies
Enemies
to
to
lovers,
lovers,
you need an
yeah.
anti-hero
You-
trope. So therefore, if you like,
if you get rid of one
then it's not a
can
good trope.
Well, because if you have enemies to lovers and one isn't like morally gray and darker, and the other one like that back and forth dynamic. I think a lot of the times with enemies to lovers, especially like kind of more along the idea of like academic rivals
Yes.
to lovers, I think the second that they get together, all of that build up, all of that tension fades.
yes,
Like they're together, the first kiss, you're like, oh my god, the passion, the tension, everything we were talking about.
Goes
But I
away.
think that once
But
they're
that's
like
in
a
them.
couple, it's done. But if someone is an anti-hero, they are always going to be an anti-hero. And those issues that might be created in an enemies to lovers situation with the anti-hero are going to persist.
yes,
Yeah, they will never go away, and then that's a conflict that they have to solve together as their love grows.
Yes.
Oh my god, we have debunked this whole theory.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
This is not how I expected this
I know.
to
We
go.
said before. We were like, okay, enemies to lovers is gonna end up with friends to lovers.
Yes.
They're put on opposite sides of
Yes.
the board. They're gonna
Yeah.
move in.
I'm sorry guys, I think Antihero would win this.
I would second
Yeah,
that.
Because we have just gone so meta with this.
Yeah.
Because it's
we
true.
have to.
You
Yeah.
can't do enemies to lovers. Like, when we think about what, like, you need that character that's like, I'm not gonna change. Like, this
Yeah.
is
You need
this
actual,
is who I am.
You need actual conflict,
Yeah.
not just like a misunderstanding. I hate that.
Well,
Which it's just a misunderstanding. Like
Mhm.
And
you
then they fall
read,
in love.
you
Yeah.
read this text, and you should have read this text. Like
Yeah.
horrible.
Or like, or you know, you could say like enemies to lovers. Like, I know this isn't true, but just to use for an example, like the Romeo and Juliet, like they're on opposite. Technically, they're enemies. Like their
Yeah.
families are enemies. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call them enemies, but like you have two sides. And
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
don't love each other, and then you meet, you're like, oh, we actually love each other. No, like I want you guys, even though you love each other, your love is fighting with the
Yeah.
morally gray components of
Mhm.
yourselves. So
Yeah.
One, I think that antihero, like, it can exist in a situation where it isn't enemies to lovers. And
Yes.
that's still, you're like,
Yes.
oh my god, I love this morally great person.
Mhm.
Yeah, or like two morally great people that end up together.
Maybe we're just really like dark and depressed people because we're really great people. But I think this
But
will be
it adds
fun.
so much.
Yeah, so I'm definitely just gonna jump in here and say I'm voting for Antihero.
I would second that.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I don't know.
We were like, enemies to lovers
Yeah.
is gonna win. And then we got in here and we
discussed it.
we put on our English hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just went for it. This is why you attend high school English classes.
Yeah, because this
So
is.
you can debate anti-heroes versus enemies to
Anti-heroes.
lovers.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
I'm gonna throw that up there.
The finale
We're here.
is upon us. We are here.
It's here.
The last, final two, friends to lovers and antihero. Whew, how did we end up here? I thought we knew where this was
How
gonna
did we end
go.
up here?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I don't even know where to start. I really don't even know where.
So-
Because there's no like connection.
You backed
between-
yourself
Yeah,
into a little
I
bit of
did.
a predicament here because you felt very strongly about friends to
I
lovers.
did.
And now you have felt
Still
very
do.
strongly about antihero.
I know.
So now you're
Yeah.
gonna have some issues here.
And I don't think that they overlap much.
They
Like a lot of
don't.
our other ones overlap. And yes, you can have a morally great friends to lovers, but it's not prevalent.
Yeah.
It's much
no.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't know. Okay.
Let's hear.
Friends to lovers gives me more of the feels. Just personally.
Mhm.
Like, I will never get tired of a friends to lovers story ever. Ever, ever, ever. And there are always going to be more of them, and so I will always read them. But, like, Morally Gray, I feel like I'm just a goody two-shoes. And if there's a morally gray decision, I'm just like, I don't like that. That's not very nice.
That's not very friends to lovers
That's not
of you.
very friends to
That's yeah, so I feel like just personally,
You are
Don't.
competing genres right here, right now. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to point that out.
exactly.
Like, this is very fantasy heavy,
Uh-huh.
very like dark fiction,
dark romance.
yeah. This is very flirty,
Mhm.
typically, very
Mhm.
perhaps prosy, like a poem, like
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah. I don't know what to do.
Okay, I feel like in my mind, this is coming down between like Jude versus Percy and Annabeth.
Don't
But
say
I'm
it like that.
Like when I try to think of my favorite examples, I'm like, okay, my favorite
Yes.
examples of friends to lovers is Percy and Annabeth, and then also two characters from a Cassandra Clare novel. Okay, and then when I
Yes.
think of my favorite like anti-heroes, I'm like, okay, definitely Jude, definitely like Cass from Six of Crows, like I already said. Maybe even like Elaine from Throne of Glass. And I love all of those, but then I'm like, look at the couple. This is like love and this is like manipulation.
Yes.
Do you want to be dark in your heart or do you want to have love?
are you in your mastermind era or are you in your lovers era?
Yeah.
Are you the mastermind?
Reputation?
Reputation
versus lover.
Oh my gosh.
I hate this.
This is really
Oh
hard
my
for
gosh!
you.
Wow.
You haven't spoken much.
Yeah.
Do you have one? Do you already know?
I think so no. I already kind of was outspoken with friends to lovers that I have not had a success with this trope, and I think it's I hope that doesn't say too much about my personality. I just haven't had much success with friends to lovers. I like the battle. I like the fight. I like the morally gray characters. I like that, like, we are all imperfect, and sometimes I think friends to lovers can be like, we share imperfectness together, or society says we are imperfect, and that's why we love each other. Whereas this, like, anti-hero is like, I'm imperfect. Like, it is me. So
hi. Way to go there.
Yeah,
good
it is me. Hi, I'm the problem.
I'm the problem.
Me.
Yeah.
So, you know, and she's right when she wrote that. So it's like this one character impacts all of this, whereas Friends to Lovers is a shared experience.
Yes.
Anti-hero is very much like you said, Jude. That's one character. It's not two characters. It's one character. And they make such a big impact. Versus Friends to Lovers is, once again, back to enemies lovers we were talking about. That could be a theme of like the whole book, the whole story, the whole plot line could be friends to lovers. Whereas anti-heroes, like, that is like an installment of a character inside that story that can impact it so much.
I think my final vote would be, I love Friends to Lovers for Percy and Annabeth.
I love it.
And there's some other examples, but especially them. But that is it done at its peak. And when it's not done at its peak, and it's more like what Shadow and Bone does, I don't enjoy it. Anti-hero, I think, is more character-based, and I love a good anti-hero, and my favorite TV show is The Magicians, and they're all anti-heroes, and it's amazing, and so I'm gonna go anti-hero.
I think I'm gonna also go anti-hero.
You're switching?
I think I'm switching, just because it's like, I just see so much more variety with the morally gray character. I mean, it can extend so far.
Yeah.
You can go to like the darkest of dark morally gray characters, or you can just be like, oh, like on the outside you're morally gray, but like on the inside you're like so sweet, you know? So I changed my vote.
So?
Well, it turns out it's the problem with us, because our winner of the book trope bracket is anti-hero.
Yes, let's get it on there.
Yes.
Write it on, Peyton.
Right.
Alright, that is all we have time for today. We have our big winner. Oh, look at that. Give it some more. Give it some more love. Anti-hero, morally gray. Taylor Swift made it to the end.
Yes,
Amazing.
she did. All right. Well, thank you, Nevaeh, for joining us.
Yes.
And we would love to have you again on the podcast.
Yes, it was so much fun.
I had such a great time. All right, well, happy reading, guys.